You're listening to the Full 10 Yards of Britball podcast with your host, Timothy Lambert-Monk. Yes, welcome in and one and all. This is the Full 10 Yards at Britball podcast. Week 5 has just become and gone, and we've decided to take a little time off and reconvene our tour of the UK. Yeah, for anyone that's been following the podcast or the socials for a little while, obviously before the Britball season started this year, we obviously went up and down the country, went to Sandwell, Crewe, amongst Merseyside and amongst loads of other teams as well. So if you are new to Full 10 Yards, welcome in. Obviously, be sure to go and check those out on our YouTube channel or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get those, so you can do those. But today, as you can see in front of me, if you are watching on the YouTube, we are joined by Darren from the head coach of the Darlington Steam. Darren, Full 10 Yards, a warm welcome to you. So how are you doing?
Thank you very much for having me. All good, yourself?
We're good. Do you prefer Coach Mitchell or do you prefer Darren? How do you want to do
whatever you like, whatever you're comfortable with.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't know. Whenever I get coaches on, I always want I only played for a year, but whenever I see an offensive coordinator or a head coach, I always just have the urge just to call you coach. So we'll go with coach. So
feel free. I think it's etiquette anyway, isn't it? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be crossing any lines. That's for sure. Cool. Well, obviously, welcome into the Full 10 Yards. Obviously, it's great to have teams like in yourself on the show. But for Darlington Steam aren't necessarily one of the more well-known teams in the Britball sphere. I think it's fair to say. But before we get into the Steam themselves, a bit about you. How did you get into the sport? Playing, coaching, and then how did you end up where you are with the head coach of Darlington?
Well, basically, I come from a football background, not an American football background. I was a football player for a long, long time, and I coached from the age of 17 at various levels. And how I got into the American football side was a friend of mine had signed for Gateshead Senators, and I just went down and watched him. And I've been watching the NFL for a short while on night shifts and things like that. Passes the time away as it does. I was really getting into it because I was falling out of love with the other football. So it kind of bridged that gap, and Britball just kind of took me straight away. But I started asking a lot of questions, and I think that's just the coaching side of me, that was already built. And then the more I got into it, the more I was watching it. It was a case of hang on, I might having a crack at this. And it was on a night shift with my number 2 and also co-founder Lee Howard. We were on a night shift, and we were just like, if we were on a team, how would we do it? But everybody has that conversation. It's not a drunken conversation, but this is on a night shift. We've got 12 hours together. Let's pass the time. And we were talking about it all the time. And then it was on a New Year's Eve when Brian Carmichael, who's with Northumberland Vikings now, but formerly the DC Presidents, got in touch with us and said, do you fancy running a part of a satellite team alongside the DC Presidents? So it's going to be some youth from us, some youth from DC, merging them together to go and do the youth games. And I think there was a couple of other teams in that satellite which didn't really take off, but we managed to get quite a few. I'm saying quite a few. We got enough players to get going, and it kind of everything snowballed from there quite well. Surprisingly well, to be honest. And we kind of built the team based on what we'd seen elsewhere. Like, without being disrespectful to some of the other teams, there was a lot of learning what not to do. Do you know what I mean? And obviously there was tons of what to do. Do you know what I mean? But there was a couple of things that was like, I wouldn't do that if I was running a team, because it's either unsafe or it's just not part of my ethos or a value, if you will. And it was the same with Lee. And we just built this team from there, really. And it started off as a youth satellite team, which then merged into, how can I put it? The youth kind of fell off a little bit. So then we went into flag because more adults were getting into it. So we had more, because we were having to turn adults away. We were like, we don't have an adult team. We've only got youth. And we were kind of restricting ourselves a little bit. And then we just thought, you know what? Why don't we just try it? We don't have the funds for contact. But why don't we try doing we'll knock a flag team up. It's a skill-based side of the game. It's a fun side of the game.
Yeah.
Let's get the lads some matches, because at the end of the day, there's no point in training constantly with no end product. And that's how we went to the flag, and we've done it for 2 seasons. We won a couple of games, and we lost a few, and but the lads really enjoyed themselves. We enjoyed ourselves, and that kind of the youth start and the flag start is what catapulted into now being at the adult contact team. So it's been a bit of a road, it's been a bit of a journey, but it's been enjoyable all along the way. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah. Long story short, I guess.
Yeah. So I've got 2 questions, one serious and one non-serious. Obviously, you said you've kind of fallen out of love of football, but who is your team? Was it Darlington, or is it are you kind of a Newcastle, Sunderland? My geography's not great up in that part of the world.
No, I'm from Middlesbrough originally.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so I'm a Borough fan. Yeah,
I want to say Teesside.
That's the one.
There we go. Not too bad. And then the second one, obviously, you said about. I'm kind of getting a theme of coaching's kind of always, without being cliche, in your DNA. What kind of drew you to the coaching side of things? Is it something you do outside of football, or prior to the soccer, as it were? What draws you to coaching? Because you seem to have quite a strong coaching vibe to you.
Oh, the sporting backgrounds ran through my family. To be honest, my dad was a football manager for years, and he taught me a lot. If I'm honest, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but he was probably the best man manager I've ever played under. Yes, he was my dad, but he was brilliant at what he'd done. So when I decided to stop playing, through various reasons, I made a lot of mistakes, and these are the things that I've took into my coaching. And that's why I got into coaching, was because I knew how to manage, because I was taught well, but also because I wanted to put right the things that I did wrong.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I wasn't a nice guy, shall I say, when I was younger. So I just wanted to do things the right way. You know what I mean? And make sure that my players did things the right way. And hopefully that's reflective in the team. I mean, we seem to get on with everybody who we play against. We've had a couple of skirmishes, but who doesn't? It's the nature of the game. But we seem to get on with everybody. You know what I mean? We always seem to leave a decent impression, and I hope that's the case. Anyway, do you know what I mean? I don't know what people think, but it seems to be the case. So and that's pretty much that's the coaching part of it.
I mean, fair play to you. It takes a strong man and a big man to say that they obviously to say what you've done, and say you've done whatever you've done in the past. We won't go too far into that tangent, I suppose, but I mean, like I say, owning up to it and say making a positive out of negative. Full credit to you. So a bit more about Darlington then, Darren, or coach.
Okay.
Sorry. Obviously, again, it's not a well-known team. Do you just maybe want anyone that might be in the vicinity of Darlington, or in travelling distance to Darlington? Just want to maybe get a quick run through of what you do currently offer at Darlington, because you mentioned obviously you started with youth and flag, and obviously now contact. But just maybe want to give a full run through of what you do offer there.
Well, I mean, Darlington's it's about 45 minutes outside of Newcastle, so half an hour away from Sunderland, and 15 to 20 minutes away from Middlesbrough or Teesside. And it's only down the road from Catterick Garrison as well, which is the military base up here, which is the biggest in Europe. So we're just down the road from that as well. So we've got Gateshead around us. Our local teams, we've got quite a few in the northeast now. So we've got Gateshead Senators, you've got Northumberland Vikings just up the road, you've got DC Presidents, not to mention the university teams. So you've got Durham Saints, Teesside Cougars, Newcastle Raiders, Northumbrian Mustangs, and we've also got a women's team in Teesside. We've got Teesside Steelers. So there's a lot of football happening up here. That's not mentioned the flag and youth. You know what I mean? So it's there's a lot of football happening up here, which is exciting for the area. I don't think the North gets a lot of, I'm going to put it, a lot of viewing, if you get what I mean. But it's so obviously I've listened to other podcasts and things like that, and you can tell they don't know a lot about us. You know what I mean? And which is fine. But the opportunities like this is what gives us an opportunity to put us on the map, if you will. Do you know what I mean? That sounds too out there. But we but with Darlington, I mean, what we're offering up here at the minute is you've got the adult contact team, you've got the youth team, which has always been in the background since day one. Even during the flag, the cadets were running, but they just didn't have games. We didn't have enough players. It was very stop. It wasn't stop start. It was always on the go, but it was very stuttered, shall we say?
Mm.
And then we, like I said, then we had the flag team, which we've brought back. I'll get into why we brought it back in a minute. So there's youth, flag, and adult contact. So we've got 3 phases of the team. So it's one club, 3 teams running out of it. But the thing is, the committee are very concentrated on making sure all 3 are running alongside each other at the same pace.
Yeah.
So we've worked tirelessly on getting the youth into league status, which they've got now. So we're in league status. The youth have got league status, and flag are going through their associate, which they're very nearly, or should be nearly finished. Their associate status ready to go into the league in 2022. They're getting games, playing tournaments. You know, they're doing everything they should. And Coach Magnet, or Drew Magnet, who's over there running the flag side of things, is doing an absolute stellar job. He's brought in, I mean, I think he's got 20 players on the roster at the minute, which is great for flag. You know, and he's got a high caliber of player as well, which is good. And he's got a lot of experience in the flag side of things. He's got experience in contact, of course, not taking that away from him. But his knowledge and the depth of knowledge and the way he runs flag teams is why we kind of come together and made sure he was the one to take that forward, which was the right choice. Definitely the right choice. You know, we're proud of the work that he's doing and the other guys that are over there as well. Youth. We ended up bringing. Did you know about the Wooden Warriors, a team up here that was a school that was run by John Tate and Danny Ketch? Well, they got their championship final for like 3 seasons or 4 seasons. I think it was 3. They missed out, unfortunately, but they were a hell of an organisation, great team, very well run. But once they left school, they were at a bit of a loss. So they went to juniors, which I think was the Vikings for a while. Right. And then once our adult team came up, they got an opportunity to kind of come together again. So we've built a bit of a home for them as well. So it's not just rookies and things starting out. We've got quite a lot of experience up here. And those guys have come in and they've kind of merged together again. Yeah. But the merged as part of us. You know, it's not a case of, you know, they're the Wooden lot. They get referred to that sometimes, and I got me a bit off this week because I refer to them as that. But yeah, shout out Jordan McCabe. But then he turned around and said, which I had a proud moment to be honest, because he turned around and said, "We're not Woodham anymore, we're Steam." Do you know what I mean? I was like, You're right. You know what I mean? You know, that was their childhood. This is their adulthood, and you know that bit was great. And it's I mean, offering the 3 phases is something we wanted to bring in. Obviously, junior will merge into junior. We know what path that's going to take. We've got a lot of 15-year-olds going into 16, going into year 11. And eventually, once they've done that, they're going to have to merge into junior. And that's where the crux of the team is. But currently, we're recruiting again, obviously, with the season coming up. And there's some 13-year-olds coming in. So now that next phase is coming into the youth. So we're looking for longevity, of course, as any team should. If you're going to run a club, your longevity's got to be the key. And I've heard a lot of things with teams in all the sports that I've been involved in is, you know, we don't want to see people walk away from the sport, and rightfully so, right? So this is why we brought flag back. Now, it was seen on UK American football scene, Alan. He made a comment of the brought flag back, which looks like it makes him, unnerves him a bit, because teams in the past, I think, have had a contact team, brought flag in and gone backwards. Right, yeah. Which I understand. Yeah. I understand that. Yeah. But the way we're doing it, I mean, we've got nearly 70 players on our adult roster. I'm not scared of that. I'm fine with that bit. I'm very comfortable with the numbers, and they're going to keep recruiting because of our catchment area, which again I'll get into in a second. But the flag came back because there was players that left because they were injured doing contact. They left after 1 season. Contact wasn't really for them. You know, whether it was old injuries, coming back because of the contact, or whether it could have been their job role. It could be, there's various reasons why. And we thought, well, why don't we bring it back? Contact's not for everybody.
No.
You know what I mean? So I wanted to go, right, wanted to go, right, let's give people another option. All right. And see if some of those old players return, which they did. So a lot of our old players have returned and gone into flag and loving it. A lot of new people have come in, not wanting to do contact, but they want to do the flag. Great. Now we've got a team. Just off those two reasons, not to mention the contact players that want to do flag as well, because they still want to, they want to play every minute of football they possibly can. And that's why we've got a squad of 20 at flag. Do you know what I mean? So there's lots of options here, and that's why the 3 are ran the way they are. If it came to women's football, I'm more than happy to have, an agenda. But I've never closed the door on that. I'm more than open for that. I mean, we've got a lady on the books at the minute, a lady called Charlie, and happy days. But some might just want to play strictly women's football. Well, what we do is we send them to Teesside. The reason why I send them to Teesside is, one, I don't want to step on any toes. 2, we've got a good relationship with them. Do you know what I mean? Their coaching staff have played for us, or are playing for us, some of them. And, again, it's just that team relationship. So we don't need to build a women's team because there's already one available. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But, I mean, as far as recruitment's concerned, I mean, we've got the catchment area we've got. So you've got Teesside, you've got Stockton, you've got the likes of Redcar. I mean, I don't know if these places are familiar to you.
Yeah.
You've got Yarm, you've got Darlington itself. Then you've got Richmond, Catterick Garrison, obviously the military base. And then Durham itself. I know there's a team in Durham, but we do have a couple of people that come down and play for us. But the fact that we've got Catterick Garrison, biggest military base in Europe, we're now recruiting from there. More and more players are joining up because of word of mouth as well. I mean? And it's not just that. There's the RAF starting to dip the toes into our team, and I'm chuffed to bits with it. So the recruitment from COVID, which is anyone's fear, was going to be, are we going to have enough numbers going into this 2021 season should it happen? We didn't have a problem. We didn't have a worry because we'd done a rookie day straight away. And I think it was something like 30. I'm saying rookies, half of them were from uni level or other teams, but we still brought them down as in a rookie class. Yeah, and then the other half were rookies. They had them till the snapping anger. And so the more experienced ones kind of merged into the team quite quickly, and the majority have stayed. I think there must be about 2, maybe 3 didn't stay, which out of the 15 of those is a great take, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But the rookies, there was only one that hasn't stayed. You know what I mean? And the reason I think the reason for that is we run a rookie class. Now I do it. Myself and my number 2 do it, which is Lee. We do it because we run a program it's a rookie program. They do not touch anything where let's say the first team, but they don't go in there with them, right? That's something for them to aim for. So we kind of dangle it out a little bit. And then we have a 4-week program. Now, they'll learn the basics of tackling, blocking, ball security, catching, throwing, everything to do with the game. All right? And they'll learn it until they know and are confident of what they're doing. So at the end of it, on the 4th week, we sit down and we have like we have a list of questions that we just ask, and they just answer them as a group. It's not a pass-fail thing. It's just to make sure that things are bedded in, right? Because I feel that's the way it should be done. If anything, for player safety, not only for themselves, but the players that they're going to go in with. You know what I mean? And it seems to work. Well, I mean, if we're holding or retaining like a massive percentage of it, I mean, looks like what 90-something% of that rookie class has stayed and suited up for the game against DC. I mean, that speaks for itself, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's great to see, like I say, a lot of teams, and say we'll get onto this season in a minute, but you've seen the amount of teams that have struggled with COVID and players going away, players injuries, players, obviously, what have you. But it's nice to see that there's kind of there is teams out there. There is a blueprint to say, okay, you can do your rookie sessions and you can retain 75 to 100% of the people that come down, or you get. Like I say, you get 20 people on a flag team that cross over, and it's great to see. Again, for an area, for myself, and I'd say I hold my hands up. I don't know too much about that part of the UK, and it's good to know that it's kind of in good hands. Like yourself, so you're clearly passionate about getting it done the right way. There's so many teams out there that will be around for a year or 2 years, do it the wrong way because they just focus on one specific facet, or maybe they have a couple of others available, but they don't. To paraphrase, don't care as much about one facet as they do the other, and it should, like you say, it should all be raised in equilibrium with each other, which you've done there. And like I say, you're bearing the fruits of that with squad numbers and participation. And what was it been like financial wise? Again, another issue with COVID is people losing jobs and not being able to afford to play. How's it been with Darlington on the financial side to obviously keep subs down? It's not, again, same with running an adult team. It's not the cheapest sport to run. But how's that side kind of been handled?
It's surprisingly well. I mean, it was obviously a massive concern of ours. I mean, the committee had a few meetings over the COVID thing. What should we do? Obviously we took the decision, which every team's taken, of course. I'm not taking sole glory of it. It obviously suspending subs and things like that, which I think took a lot of pressure off them, which it should do.
Yeah.
But we only charge £20 subs a month, so it's not a massive number, £5 a week. It's like, I mean, you get that with grassroots kids football in the FA. So, and what they get back, I don't know if they feel it's worth it. They must do because they're paid. And, and they're down every week. So
absolutely.
There's something happening there. But obviously, with the way that the league structure's been, with it being more localized, I mean, people have kind of ummed and ahed about the season, and Div 1 and Prem teams going up against Div 2 and associate teams and this, that, and the other. I understand all that football side of it, but when you look at the financial side of it, which is a key component to the longevity, I think what they've done is spot on, because that's where it's held. So travel's down because that's the expensive one. Obviously, the refs fees are up. They're not up, but the refs fees are still there, which they should be. Your venue fees are going to be up there. Well, the venue's got to run somehow. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to have to pay that. But it's the travel is the big one. Obviously, with COVID. So in the 2019 season, when we were travelling to Scotland, we were in a coach. We were going up. Great away days. We all love the away days. But if we were to do that again, we'd have needed a minimum of 2 coaches because of the social distancing issue, which then doubles your travelling fee. I mean, it was £550 to go up to Scotland. Well, you're now looking at 4 figures now, minimum.
Yeah.
You might need the 3 with the way the numbers have gone. Do you know what I mean? So with that, with us not having to pay for travel, that's helped us in abundance. So now we can get more equipment. We can get equipment for the youth, we can get equipment for the flag, we can get equipment for the adult. With the youth just taking off, well, now we can start looking at, can we help them? What can we put into that? I mean, we're doing a GoFundMe thing. I'll plug that at the end, but to get them started. But it's financially, it's helped us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big start.
Yeah. I mean, I say all the teams I've spoken to, that sentiment's echoed. Yeah, pretty much every team I've done. And I'll say, it'll have its drawbacks. Obviously, playing in the way the season is done, and you've got teams that are dropping out because they're the Div 2 teams, if you like, going up against the Prem teams are just getting overpowered, getting injured, and obviously not necessarily because it's Prem versus Div 2, but you've got guys that haven't played or done sod all for 18 months, and and it's like hamstrings gone like that, and like I said, I barely struggled. I struggled to get out of bed in the morning. So let alone playing 60 minutes at wide receiver. Like that's what that. But let's talk about obviously again. I'd love to get into flag. I mean, I don't think there's enough hours in the day for me to try and get my head around flag. I mean, as much as I'd love to talk about it, I just know pretty much sod all. But hopefully, let's say it's got a fairly decent air, and let's say hopefully it's something I can expand into as the years pass. But let's talk about the adult contact team for now. Obviously, you've played one game this season. Obviously, won 38-0. What were your expectations going into the season? Obviously, you with the realigned divisions, you kind of it's a mishmash of all the teams in the local area. Obviously, you've got Northumberland on the docket. Firstly, what's your expectations going into the season?
Into the season, it was a case of, I mean, we've made a lot of changes during COVID, so the off season, if you will. So I changed some of the coaching staff. I've swelled some of the coaching staff, and it's helped with the lining of obviously the mass recruitment that we had. So the expectations were, to be honest, I was just happy just to see what changes have been made and are they productive. If not, because we changed the whole way we trained. Again, this comes from my coaching in normal football. We used to do a 12-week development rota, should we say. So for the 4 weeks, this is how we do it. All right. So say for the first 3 weeks, we're working on inside run. All right. So the whole focus of the day is working on inside runs. That means the offense do it and the defense do it. All right. The defense obviously working on stopping the inside run. Yeah. So then that breaks down into positions. So on the development sheets that we have, it all lines up. It all matches up. So the positional groups now know exactly what they're working on. That's going to build up the inside run issue. And then the 4th week is we'd run a scrimmage. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't, right, away we go. So then the next 4 weeks could be outside run, it could be play action, it could be the pass, it could, but it's all for the development of the player. It's all bite-sized chunks in development for the player. So we'd done that for a while, and obviously you come out of the first lockdown, we went into fitness and conditioning. I mean, I'm a PT myself, so it's right up my street. You get them going, 3 sessions for them at the end of the day. And so they got the fitness and conditioning up. Obviously, they're coming out of lockdown. They needed it openly and admit that they wanted it. So we did it, and then went into the more football side of things. So because of the development plan we've been going on, I was intrigued to see, because it was a lot of change we made coming out of the 2019 season. It's not just like I say, if you get what I'm saying, it's not just it's a multitude of things. It's coaching staff, it's development plan being brought into the way of doing things, shall we say. Change of play, a lot of new players, just a different ethos around the team, a different attitude towards how we're going into training and building towards games. Having more team meetings, because we're on Discord, so we have all of our channels are on there. So we have a lot of team meetings. Coaches meetings are more often now. Do you know what I mean? And there's just a lot more interaction, which it's helped. The development's helped in a lot of different ways. So I was intrigued in going this season just to see what's changed. Has anything changed? Has it changed for the better? Has it changed for the worse? I don't know. This is where the test is. And we obviously it's only been one game, and I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, but there was just a different vibe. It was a different team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the same players, a lot of the same coaches, but it's just a different feel about the players. A bit of belief, I think, a belief in themselves more than anything, which in the 2019, we've done very, very well in 2019. Yes, we lost all of our games, but we weren't defeated. We always played to last snap. We already had that bite about us. So I was always saying that you were tough to beat. What are you going to be like when you start winning? How difficult are you going to be then? You know what I mean? And that's what we kind of kept going over and over and over. And they got that win. And because it was 0 for a while, they didn't want to let that 0 go. They wanted that duck egg, because we hadn't won a game, which is one of those things. That's just part of the growth, But we won the game. We won it well. But we won it clean. You know what I mean? The game was a clean game. Fortunately, DC come out with a few injuries, and the sympathies are with them. And obviously, with what happened to the Vikings game with them as well, the heart goes out of them. And I hope they do. I hope they do bounce back from it, because I want to play them again this season. Because I do. We've got history with DC, and it's a very positive history. With them just coming back in the league, I want them to stay there.
Yeah.
I don't want what's happened to other teams happen. Yeah. So yeah, for the season, we looked at Gateshead. We played them in associate. The Beatles. It was a good game though. It was a good game. We got a couple of touchdowns on the board. We played Vikings in a scrimmage, a controlled scrimmage, which was an eye opener for us. But we still managed to kind of go toe to toe with them, which I was happy with. So I'm very intrigued in going to the next game with Northumberland. I know they've got a new head coach in Bryce Stevenson. So I'm intrigued to see how he works, because I knew the previous coach, Kevin O'Regan. So I'm intrigued to see what changes they've made, because obviously I don't know yet. You know what I mean? But I'm looking forward to going up there and playing. And the Steam have never played. I've been at the Vikings as the Vikings when I was running youth at Satellite, and when we did a bit of junior. But I've never took my adult team up there to play them as my own team. So there's a lot of kind of sentimental things going to be going on, I think, as far as the game's concerned personally, and I'm sure it is with my other founders as well. But yeah, I'm intrigued by this season, if I'm honest. We're a Div 2 team, but it's intriguing.
Well, yeah, it'd certainly be interesting to see, like I say, the marker would be to see how far you come again when you play Northumberland. It'd be interesting to see, like I say, you've obviously played control scrimmage. That's obviously slightly different, but you go out there, nothing to lose, and the team obviously seem to have the confidence and like as you say, the bite. So, go and score, try and score a couple of touchdowns. I know Bryce name being Bryce, he'll be just as competitive as you will be. So hopefully, it'd be a good game. Everyone, I say the team will have fun, and so you'll learn a lot from it. So that take that forward then on to 2022. That's just a mention before we obviously talk on kind of the inner workings of the season. Do you reckon this is the season will finish? Obviously, we've seen teams pull out even before the season started, and Bury, Berkshire, Horton obviously won recently. Your thoughts on whether the season will finish, and again your thoughts on I don't really want to call it shenanigans, but there seems to be a lot of picking and choosing in some teams in some areas of what they want to do and what don't want to do. And so I'm not going to get political or anything like that, but your take on kind of how the season's going, because one week it's like all hunky dory, and another week it's just like downgrades to scrimmages, and then let's not bother at all, which is not great for Britball, is it?
No, it's not great for the game, but unfortunately, it depends on how you look at it. So I've looked at this season as a preparation season for 2022, because that's hopefully when we'll be in our right division with the teams that are supposed to be in there with us, so we can go and be competitive. Now, we're being competitive this season, obviously, because, well, why would you go into a game and not be? But you've got to look at it as a season of friendlies. If you look at it that way, it kind of downgrades the frustration towards it, I think. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm viewing it. But we're preparing for each game as any game anyway, because that's just it's good habits as a coaching staff and the playing staff as well. It's good for the mentality. But the season as a whole, the teams picking and choosing who they're playing against and who they're not playing against. I'm not going to tell any other team what I think they should be doing, but that's it. That's their choice. I try not to get involved in the politics. There's enough politics in the world at the minute, and it's the game's there to be enjoyed. And I think I think those that are picking and choosing their games, whether it's an associate or Division 2 or Division 1 team picking. I'm not going to play against the Prem team because we're going to get mauled and it's going to be embarrassing. It's going to knock the confidence of the players and this, that, and the other. I can understand that, but then I can understand the frustration from the Prem teams saying, well, we need games. We want games. Do you know what I mean? We'll put our second string out. We'll play this, that, and the other. But I think what that comes down to is a good relationship between the two head coaches. That's where they've got to sit down and sort that out.
Yeah.
if I was feeling that way about the game against Northumberland, then I'd pick up the phone and I'd talk to Bryce about it. Me and Bryce have spoke, about exchanging game film and, good luck for the season, this, that, and the other. But we're going to go into it like any other game. And I hope other teams kind of use common sense in regards to, understanding why a Div 2 team might not want to be playing the Prem. But vice versa as well, that Div 2 team's got to understand why the Prem team's going to be a bit peeved about it. It's one of those. Which one's the right answer? There isn't one.
No, it isn't, and there's not. I'm not saying it's a bit. I mean, I've not looked into too much, but teams that have been a bit pernickety about what they do and don't do, and I don't see anything in the way of repercussions. I mean, again, they might come out later on in the year or whatever with regards to 2022 season. But seemingly, if teams can do this without any consequence, then they're going to do it. And there are genuine teams out there that have injuries, they can't do it, don't have enough players or whatever. And again, we could go on for hours about the ins and outs of what should and shouldn't be doing at each team. And like I say, each team is different. And say like yourselves, you've got the influx of players that you've got, and you've got the luxury of 70 adult contact, 20 flag teams. And I fully appreciate that there's some teams out there that maybe have 30, 35 on adult contact teams. So again, we're not in a position to say, you should be fulfilling all those fixtures, because it's not as simple as that. But it's just a bit annoying to see some instances where we're just going to forfeit this game, or we're just going to put out, and then we've played 2 games and we don't really fancy ones against the higher teams. But we can pick all that apart when the season finishes. But just outside of obviously your division, do you keep in contact with any? Do you keep your eye on different divisions? Do you keep, obviously not necessarily the divisions of 2021, but of 2019? Do you any particular teams that you kind of look out for, root for, head coaches you have good contact with outside of your division?
There's a few. I mean, there's so in associate we played. The only team we played in the northeast was Gateshead. So our other teams were against Lincolnshire Bombers, Yorkshire Rams, Halton Spartans, and Furness Phantoms. They're the teams we played against. Obviously, Furness have unfortunately folded, which was a shame.
Yeah,
they were a nice little outfit, Furness. Halton, I had a very good relationship with them. Unfortunately, one of our players broke his arm in a game there, which there was a question mark over, but there was no animosity between myself, the other head coach, and their GM, who I got on really well at the time, but them two have left, unfortunately, now.
Yeah.
But we had a very good relationship with Halton. I mean, I was gutted when they pulled out, because they were a club on the rise.
Certainly. Yep.
They got to the final, and I went there. We played in Clyde during our season, and obviously we had a good relationship with Halton as well. So it was a good game for us because it was 2 teams that we liked. And unfortunately, unfortunate for anyone really, there's got to be a losing team. But Halton lost, and Clyde won and got promoted. And I thought, well, Halton will get this next season. Obviously, we didn't see COVID coming around the corner. But I was looking out for Halton's results. Lincolnshire Bombers, very good relationship with them. I always like to watch and see how they're doing. One of our players have transferred over there because he previously played with them years ago when he was at university down there. But I mean, the teams that we played that I've got talking to, I mean, even through youth. So there's like Manchester Titans. We played at youth level. We played with various teams, to be fair. Sheffield Giants. We played them at Flagon. There's loads of different. We've played a lot of different teams at different levels.
Yeah.
But because I played against them and spoke to their players, spoke to the coaches, this, that, and the other, I still look out for their results. But obviously, it's the Prem teams I don't know a lot about, so I couldn't tell you about London Blitz and the Warriors and things like that. I look out for London Olympians to see if they're doing well, because one of my coaches used to play for them in the 90s, and he loves his London Olympians, bless him. You know what I mean? So so he played for them there, and I'll look out for them because obviously I know that he's got that good familiarity with them. So there's a few that we look out for, but I don't know a lot about a lot of the others, unfortunately. But it's something I want to do, which is why I watch these podcasts. why I'm, you know,
Yeah,
getting involved.
that's the whole point. We do them. Like I say, it's just good for me. I obviously know a few about. I know quite a lot about the Scottish ones. So I lived there for a couple of years, and I know a bit about the southern ones because obviously that's where I'm from. But like I say, northeast, or I know a little bit about the northwest and the Midlands because I've kind of interviewed them. But like I say, yeah, northeast. It's always good to meet new people and learn about new teams. And like I say, give you guys at least a platform. So if you get one person that comes down because they watched this podcast or seen our social media to say, and you've eloquently explained kind of what's going on in Darlington. And I say, if I was in the facility, I'd at least come down and say hi and all the rest of it. But obviously, I'm more than 2 hours away, so I can't put that one past the missus. But never mind. Let's end with this then, Coach. Obviously, COVID has played a massive factor in the last 18 months, and obviously played a bit in this year. Do you think that there'll be any in 2022? Do we think that was to have kind of the same impact of COVID, or do we just think that it will be handled as if it's just any other day, or how do you think it will impact next season?
Crystal ball.
To put it easier, do you think we will revert back to maybe the divisions of 2019 rather than have a repeat of 2021?
I hope that it reverts back. That's what I was alluding to earlier. That I'm using this season as a preparation for 2022. So I'm planning on it going back to normal. I hope it does. We don't have another season like this. I don't want another what I'd count as a friendly season. Because it's going to frustrate a lot of teams, especially as we were saying earlier, the Prem and Div 1, and it'll frustrate it throughout it all. Down to Div 2 and even Associate, because they're still learning the ropes. Do you know what I mean? We've only been in it for one. We've done an Associate season in 2019. We're still learning the ropes. You know what I mean? The teams that are going down 5 years down the line are still learning. So it's hard for them because they've kind of just been thrown into the mire of it and saying, "Well, swim," And I do hope that things do get under control. I mean, I'm not too positive as it stands at the minute. With all the cases that are coming out, I mean, it's ridiculous at the minute, and obviously the way that they've opened the doors to. Everybody can mingle. But this is the thing with our team is, and I'll keep talking about the team, obviously, because that's what I do with day in, day out. And we've upped our COVID protocols because of the doors opening. So, I mean, what my number two, he works for the NHS facilities guy, and he does all the tested centres and all the, he does it all. And there was a player whose helmet was too tight, so he said, "I'm not wearing that." And it was an injured player sat out. So he goes, "Can I borrow your helmet?" He's like, "Yeah." But my number two grabbed it before he could, and just got the hand sanitizer and just doused the helmet. And I mean, it was swimming. Seriously, it was ridiculous. And the guy was like, "Well, I can't put that on with all that in it." He goes, "Well, just let it dry." He goes, "It'll dry and you can put it on." He goes, "Well, I just want to put it on." You're not putting it on. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you just have to be that anal. Over the top, just to bring the point home. Do you know what I mean? We said, because obviously, last week, our game got cancelled against Gateshead. Gateshead had an outbreak of COVID, unfortunately. And I hope they recover from that as soon as possible. I hope they're ready for their next game with a bit of luck. The players, obviously, that got positive tests, I hope you recover as soon as possible. And I said to our players, because we had a training session instead, we just got to get proactive straight away. That's the way it's got to be. We'll focus on the next game, which is Northumberland. And I just said to them, look, I said, if we can go through the season without getting any games postponed, forfeited, cancelled, whatever, and it's not our fault from a COVID standpoint, that's a win for us as a team. All right, it means we're doing things right and we're contributing to getting things back to normal. That's how we've got to do it. Risk assessments are there for a reason, so make sure you stick to it. But getting back to obviously the initial question, do I think we'll get back to normal? I'm hoping and praying that we do. I just want the world back to normal in general, not just from a football standpoint. People need to be, I'm self-employed, so I want that money coming in. Do you know what I mean? Everybody does. You don't look at your house working from home. I mean, some people might enjoy it. I think businesses are saving money from it. But I do hope that we're playing Division 2 football in 2022 against, well, whoever's going to be in our alignment. So, be Gateshead and a few of the teams from Scotland that we've already played and got a good little relationship with, and whoever's coming through associate. And I can't wait to play them, because one, I'm going to be playing new teams. Two, there's a bit of normality back, and three, it's going to be fully competitive.
Yeah.
And then we'll know where our benchmark is. You know what I mean? We'll know where our benchmark is as a team. But it just means things are getting back to normal and people can play the game for the reason they came into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as I say, all fingers crossed. And we get back to kind of the normal divisions, and say it's a bit of a we could be here for hours talking about the ins and outs of the divisions this year and how it's gone about. But we've got 45 minutes out of this. That's not too bad. Before we let you go, Coach, do you just want to how if someone is listening in the Darlington area or Teesside, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, how can someone get in contact with the team, yourself, Facebook, all the socials and that kind of stuff? Time to plug all that.
You got Instagram at the minute. The flag team is at Darlow Flag. The adult and youth pretty much run through the main one, but we let the flag run through it as well, because at the end of the day we're an organisation, not just one single team. So that's just at Darlington Steam on Instagram. On Facebook, there's 3 pages. So there's Darlington Steam American Football Club, which is the main page. Then you got Darlington Steam Youth and Junior Media page, and then you got Darlington Steam Flag Team page. So whatever level you want to come through at, whatever you want to give a go, there's loads of platforms there for you. At the minute, the youth are looking. I want to plug this earlier, of course. Is they're running a GoFundMe page to get their kits, so they want the jersey and bottoms, so they can go out and look the part. So they've got their uniforms, a big key. We all like that, don't we? Yeah. But they've got a GoFundMe page running at the minute on our Facebook pages. So hopefully get those kids suited and booted, ready to get started, which hopefully shouldn't be soon. I think they're sorting the scheduling out very soon, so hopefully we can get them up and running very quickly.
Cool. Yeah, if you send me the link over, we'll share that on our socials as well. But I mean, you got to look sexy on the pitch, haven't you? You got to look sexy.
You know what I mean? And that's it, isn't it?
That's the whole point.
Exactly.
It's all about that shade of colour on the helmet and the decal and all the rest of it.
Oh, there we go. The decals, it's the silver tops, all the kits, the shiny boots and gloves.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, as far as logo goes, Darlington's one's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm not going to begrudge any uniform GoFundMe. So, Coach, obviously, thanks for joining us. And so hopefully, anyone that might be listening to the Darlington area, if you do go down, please reference full 10 yards, because that'd be great to know that someone went down because of this podcast. Awesome. But yeah, that would be good. But yeah, so we'll share out obviously all the pages and all the bits where you can if you are interested in knowing more about Darlington on our socials at F10Y Britball. So yeah. We'll no doubt be joined by another team at some point in the future. And let's say, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and at F10Y Britball on the Twitter if you do want to give us a follow. But again, thanks to Coach Mitchell. That's the Darlington Steam, all done and dusted. And no doubt we will visit them again very soon. Obviously, best of luck for the rest of the season. Obviously, we hope to see you battling out in 2022 in Div 2. So obviously, we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. But in the meantime, we'll be back again very soon when we do this all again for the game.